Hello, powerful one. Welcome to this edition of Inner Growth Itosezwa Elimi Hey. We are continuing from where we stopped on yesterday's video. We're talking about life and the nature of its game. And we stated yesterday that life subsists on three pillars. The first one is creation, and we stated that without creation, there can be no life. Creation is the process of giving a form to an intention. And you require the form that you give to your desire to play the game of life. Now, what you need to understand in the process of using the form to play the game is that it is a costume. It is a habit for the game. It is not you. So the problem of creation is that people get so intimately identified with their form that they forget their essence, and that becomes a mental disease that nobody else can cure but the person themselves. Form is integral to creation, is integral to existence in the lower world where we belong in. The second part we said was preservation. That which is created needs to be preserved, protected against external negative energies. To be able to create, we need to focus our attention on the mental image. And then for that creation to be consistent with our mental image, it needs to be preserved from negative external energies. And one of the ways of preserving a creation, an idea, from being infiltrated or from being corrupted is to prevent external energies from entering into it. That's one. The second one is preventing an ingress for negative energy to find their way in, because the reality is that every creation is a target of usurpation or acquisition by other energy forms around. Some want to annex your creation, some want to just destroy it. And the only way you can do that is to make sure that those energies don't have access. How will those energies, external energies, have access to your creation? It is as simple as ABC. The way they have access is when you invite them. You invite them by playing the game that makes your doors open to them. When you are negative, you invite negativity. But when you're positive, it simply means that your creation is protected and nothing can access it. That is part of the game. The reason people don't have the life of their dreams, the reason people suffer, the reason people are very, very unhappy is because their creations have consistently remained a prey of energy predators around us. The idea is hold an idea in your mind. Be focused on that idea and let that idea be consistent with life. And you should preserve it. One thing about preservation is that it is consistency. Consistency has been mistaken by people to mean that they have to repeat. Consistency is not repetition, it is dynamism, yes, it is progress, yes. It means that the goal is perpetually being pursued. You are not taking your focus out of the goal, you're focusing on it. And that mode that is the form of your existence, is the form of your creation, must be maintained. When we say that consistency is not the same as repetition, this comes in when we make wishes, because creation requires wishes. You have to make a wish. And making a wish is actually invocation. It's calling on higher powers to bless your intention. Once you have made that invocation once, you are making it in a place of power, in a place of belief. The understanding that you are a friend of life, that life is intensely, intimately connected with you, that when you speak, the universe, creation, the source hears. Therefore, when you have made that invocation and say, this is what I intend to have, thank you for giving it to me, and you sort it there, then that is the end of it. Don't go back remaking that invocation in that area. What you need to do after that is to resort to gratitude, to resort to appreciation. That is affirming the existence of that which you have created, which you have asked for. That is what it's all about. In this game of creation and preservation, we are simply forming a mode, because we are not physical entities. We are spiritual. And we are living in an environment that is material. In fact, in a gross material environment. And we want to be able to relate in this environment. In order to relate with this environment, one, we must have the form that is congruent with this environment. Hence, we have this physical body, which is a gross material form body. We have food, we have houses, we have farms, we have all things that support the material form. This is also where we must work. In working, we are doing things that support the perpetuation of the gross material form. That's what work is all about generally. In other words, we are paying the dues of our existence right here on this planet. With that clearly stated, it also means that the planet itself, the environment where we live, also furnishes us with nourishment. We feed from the environment we belong in. Therefore, we eat gross material things as food to protect this body. Each time we are eating, we are feeding this body, and the most prominent part of our system that is awake at the time we are feeding is the body, which is the animal component of the human system. Now, because we eat all the time, therefore the animal component of the human system is perpetually being preserved, being aware, coming to the picture. A lot of us have forgotten who we truly are. It has forced us to come to the conclusion that we are this body, which is the animal, which is the beast. That is not what we are. Now again, because we work in an environment that is metal, because we have to give out metal energy to get the gross material energy to keep this gross material form alive. That is the game really. You operate at the higher level of service to people to make their mental environment cozy by taking care of their physical environment. We do mental things, and then that mental thing gives us a form of reward, which we call money, which is also energy on its own. And that energy is now used to provide for the things that keep this body and also the mental space of our being to be comfortable. In doing that, we tend to vacillate between the mental space and the physical space. So our forms are now locked in those areas. We already understand that the form we create at the gross material level is this physical body, the cars, the houses, the friends, all of these things we create them, because that is what we see as creating that vital interaction which makes us social beings. But that's not the end of it all. We create a career. Now that career becomes a mode within which we define ourselves. Now, the definition of us as career is very important, because you have to identify as a lawyer, as a doctor, as a teacher, as a musician, as a boxer, as a footballer, whatever it is you do. All of these things are mental forms that we create in order to preserve our gross material forms. Then all of these forms become our identity. And we must have that fluidity with which we move between the mental form and the physical form needs to be employed to now cross to the higher level, which is where we go to the third level, which is transformation. Now, at the level of transformation, you don't self-identify as physical body. You don't self-identify as the job you do. You don't see yourself as a doctor, lawyer, anything. Those are there. But what happens is that you cross the forms of these identities. That's why it is called transformation. You cross. You go above the form. And in going above the form, what you are doing is that you are leaving the lower games behind and then opting for the higher game. In doing this, you've sought and secured the permission to play the higher games, which is a solo game, a game that you have invented. It is a game that nobody can beat you in. It is a game in which you play on both sides of the physical games. You are living in such a way that you are able to understand why people do the things they do. Now, normally when you play a game, you take sides, right? You take sides. When your side wins, you are exhilarated, you are happy. But when your side loses, you feel devastated, you feel pained. And this is why there is always pain in the world. Nobody wins all the time. No side wins all the time. There is a season for all of these things. Somebody has a season where they have winning streaks. Some have a season where they have losing streaks. But now, you're saying that it's time you went beyond this level. When you cross this level of side taking in the game, it means you have also crossed the game of suffering. Lose or win, you are always on the winning side because both sides of the game are your side. And then also, you are not in a competition anymore. You value the game, but you value the players in the game more than the game itself. In the lower game that we play, we value the game above it all. This is why somebody can produce a work of art or of anything, and somebody else or some people criticize that work of art by subjecting it to the value test and seeing it short, and they state it. Then the artist, the person who created the work and their community will go angry, and then we go into a state of reprisal. They want to attack the people who criticize their works. That is side taking. But if you decide to go to the level of transformation, that is to say, you are creating, you are preserving your creation, but you are also transforming your work. It means that you are no longer subject to that absolute mentality of what you have done being exclusively yours, or that it cannot be changed. It means that at the level of transformation, you are open to perfection. You are open. In fact, the game you play at this level is that you are revisiting everything you have done and cleaning them up, consistently improving upon yourself. So your mind is open and you are willing to take any form of correction, to take anything that improves upon yourself. You are not closed. You do not see yourself as having arrived. The more achievements you make, the more you are willing to grow. That is the game of transformation. It is the higher rung of the game. Nobody is your enemy. Nobody is your opponent. And you are not tied to any form. You are above it. It is also this game, this level of the game, where no association, no cult, no organization owns you. Nobody can actually lay hold on you because you don't belong here, you don't belong there, you are all over the place, you are fluid, you are pervasive. You have no enemies, you have no friends per se. Everybody is your friend, but nobody is your enemy. And because everybody is your friend and nobody is your enemy, even those you see as your friend don't see you as their friend, they don't understand where they stand with you. And the truth again is that in playing this game it's a solo game, you're on your own, people think that you are lonely, but the truth is that you are the most happy because you are on every side. Every player is in your room, but you are not in any player's room. That is the game. You are free, you flow, and you float around. Now, this is where the game goes. There are three kinds of people. We have the weak, who are subjected to the forms that they were born with. They cannot cross. This is why they cannot change their mode. They were born in a certain way. Their birth, the accident of their birth, actually conditioned their life from birth to death. They cannot change it. They are victims of karma. They don't have the skills and the tools to manipulate karma, to rise above it. Because it is in the lower game, which is the game of creation and preservation at the lower level. If you stop your game there, which is where a heartbreaking majority of humanity end their game, you are a perpetual victim of karma because you are sight-taking. You are passionate. It is where passion actually rules. You are on the level of passion. Passion drives you. Therefore, all your actions are within the domain of karma. You can fight for your work. You fight for your people. But when you transform, you no longer have that.